Guys, what's going on? It's the Christmas season. The holidays are here. All right, everybody's celebrating, right? It's time for the parties. It's time to go ape shit, eat, drink, and be merry, right? Have a holly jolly, and we'll worry about it after the first of the year. We'll fix it with our New Year's resolutions, right? Um, you know, a lot of us use this time of year as some type of justification, right, for overindulging in things, and it's we just write it off. Well, it is what it is. It's the holidays. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. That's what we do. Um, but we pretend that we're not doing it, throughout the entire year. Um, we just come up with different justifications throughout the year, which we'll get into. Uh, but around these holidays, around the Christmas season, um, people, like we've said before, people will go overboard and they'll say, well, it is what it is. It's the holidays. But, in the new year, it's going to be a new me, right? Next week or in a few weeks after the first of the year, uh, I'm changing my ways. Things are going to be different, right? The new me is going to have a whole different attitude. I'm going to wake up January 1st or January 2nd with that hangover. But right after that, I'm going to have that newly instilled self discipline. Uh, I'm going to turn things around. I'm going to start eating right. I'm going to start exercising, and no more of my old ways. This is, I'm going out with a bang, but things are going to change. Um, you know, we write it off to this, well, I deserve it. I deserve it. It's the holidays. It's called the psychology of deserving indulgence. And this is what we all ascribe to, right? And again, it's, we act like, well, I'm doing it now because it's Christmas, but I haven't been doing it throughout the entire year. And we have. All of us do. All of us do. Um, there's always reasons every month, every other week. There's something going on where we overindulge, and we come up with some justification. But the Christmas time is just another excuse. And that is exactly why we are as fat, we are as sick as we all are. Um, and it's normalized, it's expected. Um, and we look at we're to the point in our society, in the world today, when we look at the person who's not fat and sick, the person that does show discipline and uh, does the right thing by himself and takes care of his health, that person is looked at as almost like the odd man out. Like there's something wrong with this guy. How come he's not like the rest of us? He's depriving himself. What's wrong with him? What is he, mental? You're supposed to eat. You're supposed to drink. You're supposed to go overboard. That's what we do because we deserve it. I worked Monday to Friday. Now it's Friday night. I have to go out and abuse myself. Um, you know, you look at that guy or that girl or whatever, those people that don't ascribe to this way of life, that do live a healthy life for the most part, um, and you write it off as, well, he's got good genetics. Um, he's obsessed. Well, he's just boring, because he doesn't like to have fun. Um, well, maybe that person or those people just have a respect for their body, and they do place the proper value on their health. Um, maybe they enjoy having discipline, being, self-discipline. It gives them a high level of self-esteem. Um, maybe those people enjoy waking up every day uh, without a hangover, without wanting to throw up. without wanting to waste their time with the most precious thing you have, your health and your time, laying on a couch all day, laying in a dark room, waiting for your headache to go away and the nauseousness to go away. Um, maybe he has kids and a family and he wants to be the example, right? He wants to show his kids because, again, I say it all the time, and it's a fact. It's a fact that our kids do what we do, not what we say. You could talk till you're blue in the face, but they're going to look at you and they know a hypocrite. Young kids, whether they're young or old, they know a hypocrite. And if you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, if you're telling them they can't do something, they shouldn't do something, it's not the right thing to do, and in the next breath, or in the next few seconds, you're doing that exact same thing, they know. They know. Um, so it behooves us to be healthy, especially if we have kids. If you're a single person, you don't have family relying on you, you have no responsibilities. Uh, you want to go to town and you want to throw your health in the garbage. That's your prerogative. But if you have a family, once you have kids, um, that's it. They're your responsibility. They're your number one responsibility. And if you're not healthy, if you're just a sack of shit, you're going to be no help to them. You're never going to be any help to them. Um, I've said to you guys before, I was in law enforcement for 32 years, and it took me years to realize it, and it was even after I had kids. Um, my department, it was broken up. For New Jersey, it was a pretty big department. At one point we were up to almost 300 people, and it was broken up into different squads, and then you had divisions. You had the detective bureau, you had the traffic division, and each one of these squads and divisions, and every year they would have their own Christmas party. So, I was at one point I was on a day shift and I was in squad 1, and then later on a few years later I was in squad 3. So I had people that I had worked with. Well, of course, I got the invite to all these parties. I had to go to all of them. Couldn't turn down an invitation. So this time of year was a out and out disaster for me. I would just go for weeks, throughout the month of December. It would start the first week of December and go all the way through, all the way through. Um, and and that's the way I lived because I thought that it's Christmas. You have to celebrate. You couldn't turn it down, and I certainly wasn't going to go to one of these parties and sit there and not drink and not eat like an animal, because then I'd look odd. I wouldn't be one of the guys. Um, but yeah, it took me a long time to realize that this isn't the way to do it. It's not, you're not missing out. You're not missing out. And it's not about being a Grinch, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're just abusing yourself. You really are. And when I realized it, and I tell this story too. I can remember it wasn't around the holidays, but it was when I was still drinking, and I was hungover. I had gone out the night before, and I was a fucking wreck. To be honest, the next day, and I was laying on the couch, and I remember this day like it was. And you talk about like the day that changed your life, or there was something that happened that in my mind, this was like a rock bottom moment, and I was nursing this hangover on the couch, and I called my son in and I asked him to get me something to drink or whatever. And he came into the room and he stood there talking to me, and I'm looking at him, and he was overweight. My son was overweight at the time. He was just a teenager. Um, and I looked at him and I just thought to myself, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? You know, you're laying here sick to your stomach. Your son is overweight and he's looking at you and you can't get off the couch to get a glass of water, you know? And I was disgusted with myself. I was sickened. I really was. And that's not an overstatement. So after that, I sat my son down and I told him, look, I want to make some changes. I want to do things a little differently. And we actually started working out. And I can remember when we started working out was the day before Thanksgiving. And we did this program P90X. It was a 90-day workout program. And we started the day before Thanksgiving, and we worked out the next day on Thanksgiving, and we worked out on Christmas Day that year, and we worked out on New Year's Day that year, and we went straight through. The only time we didn't get a workout in was if I was working overtime or something. But the next day when I was home, we did a double workout, and we got through that program. You know, in the 90 days, we did every single scheduled workout, and at the end of it, uh, my son was down 40 pounds and I was down roughly 25 pounds. And I created a bond with my son that it was just incredible, just incredible. It was tough. We got on each other's nerves because, we were sweating, we were hurting, we were sore. Um, but it really was an incredible experience to do that. Um, so yeah, that was it. But that was something that happened with me that turned it around. Um, I wasn't 100% cured at the time. At that time, I still did, I curtailed it a lot. Um, but I still did my drinking and I still, did my running around a little bit, but things really started to go in a better direction. Uh, and especially for my son, to this day, he still has, um, he does his workouts and he realizes the importance of it. uh, of having the exercise as part of his life. He's like everybody. I'm like everybody. Sometimes we tail off a little bit, but we know, it really has to be a part of our life. But society today, it's just everything is consumption, everything is convenience, right? Everything is comfort. Um, DoorDash. Are you fucking kidding me? Like you can sit on your couch with the remote in your hand and the phone in the other hand and type in "send me food" and they bring it to your door, right? And you sit there and eat it. And, you know, I mean, next it's going to be something where, you're going to be able to type in on your phone and somebody's going to come to your door and, come into your bathroom and wipe your ass, right? That's what we're leading up to. That's what it's getting to. Um, and people don't want to change. I do some personal training, and as much as people, they'll get to a point and they say, I want to change, I want to change, I want to change. And then when you tell them that they have to change, they don't want to change. They want to change without changing, if that makes any type of sense. But that's really what happens. They want short-term fixes rather than long-term lifestyle changes. People are unwilling to do it. The vast majority of people, and that's a fact. Um, they just refuse. And when they start getting sick, when all these ailments start setting in, and they do, and they will at some point, they absolutely refuse. They refuse to believe that 90% of the shit that we suffer from are self-induced because of our lifestyle, because of our laziness, because of our addiction to overconsumption, convenience, and comfort. And that's what leads to all of these ailments that we have. Um, so yeah, I mean, the other part of it too is, when we look at the entire lifestyle, not only is it eating and drinking, um, it's our sleep patterns, it's the people that we associate with that cause us stress. Stress is a real thing. Stress is a killer. Stress brings on disease, um, and people don't want to believe that. People don't want to believe that. Again, as each of these things pop up, they go running looking for a pill. or looking for some type of miracle cure that's just going to take away that one ailment or that one uh, symptom that they have. I can't sleep, I'll take a sleeping pill. My sugar's high, I'll take some metformin. My blood pressure's high, I'll take a blood pressure pill. I have I have acid reflux, I'll take another pill. And but they never go back to ground zero. They never go back to the lifestyle, to what they're doing. Um, yeah, so it's just ridiculous. And again, getting back to the whole holiday thing, when something pops up where we can justify it, uh, we're more than willing to do it. You know, if you look at the year, you look at now, we have the holidays. So you have the whole month of well, actually, it starts before that, right? Because Thanksgiving really kicks the whole thing. Actually, I was in Walmart this year right after Labor Day and saw Christmas decorations, Christmas things being sold. But anyway, let's call it Thanksgiving. That kicks off your holiday season, and that's going to go all the way through January 1st. So you got a good 5, 6 weeks where people go to shit, and then they make their New Year's resolutions. New year, new me. Everything's gonna change. But you have to go to the New Year's Eve party, and then you have to eat your big dinner on New Year's Day. Then in a couple of weeks, of course, we have the Super Bowl, and you have to eat and drink yourself into oblivion on that, right? Because your favorite team, and who gives a shit? But it's just another day to justify it. Uh, then you have Valentine's Day. You got to take the sweetheart out for the dinner, the candy, the whole thing. What do we have then? March, we have St. Patrick's Day, which is a complete and utter booze fest. I mean, years and years and years. That was, and again, that would turn into, in the town I lived in, it turned into the entire weekend, of just another drunk fest. And it was disgusting. And so many things happened. So many bad memories happened around that time. It was just horrible. And it was all alcohol related. Actually, when I look back on my life, everything in my life that was negative, not everything, but the vast majority of things that were negative in my life had something to do with alcohol. My life would have taken a totally, and again, I'm not painting myself as some fall down drunk, because I wasn't. I definitely drank too much. But if you would have taken alcohol out of my life from the time I was 14 years old, starting to drink bottles of beer in the schoolyard, my life would have taken a totally different trajectory, as would pretty much anybody's life. I can guarantee that. So, again, then, again, we're always looking to justify it. Then after that, what do we have? We have like the Easter. You have Easter, right? Easter Sunday, the candy, and we give it to the kids. We're loading them up with candy. Uh, what do we got? Cinco de Mayo, another absolute drunk fest, right? Uh, then comes Memorial Day, kicks off the summer, and what are you going to do? It's the summertime. You have to relax. You deserve it. You know what I mean? Then you have 4th of July, uh, and that goes all the way straight through to Labor Day. And everybody's. I tell this story too. I had a guy that I worked with, overweight, and he was talking to me one day, and started asking me about, I want to start working out. I want to start do this, and like I said a few minutes ago, everybody wants to change until it comes time to change. So I sat with this guy for a while, and we talked and talked and talked. And I said, I would do this, I would do that. And after, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 minutes, however long we talked for, he said, okay, all right. But, I'm not going to start until after Labor Day because, and he patted his fat stomach and said, I like to drink beer too much, and I'm not going to give up my beer for the summer. You know, we had this conversation in June. So he was going to, he's putting this off for 3 months. Because the summer was you can't change during the summertime because it's the summer, right? Here in the US, everybody's on vacation. You go on vacation for a couple of weeks. and you deserve it. You deserve it to go overboard because it's your vacation. You earned it because you were so good all year that your vacation's here, um, and now you deserve to go overboard. I had another guy one time. This was a crazy story. With two guys I worked with were brothers, actually twin brothers, and they were overweight and they wanted to get bariatric surgery. They weren't at the point where I don't know what the threshold is. I have no idea. Um, I believe these doctors will cut anybody open for any reason, but they told them that basically you're not fat enough. You're not fat enough to get bariatric surgery. Um, so again, two twin brothers, they went, they left the doctor, and they proceeded to gain 30 pounds each to reach that threshold to get surgery, which I thought was one of, and I liked them. They were very good guys. They were friendly guys. They were funny guys. I worked with them for years. But even repeating that story, it to be honest, it really turns my stomach that this is where we're at. That somebody will go and gain 30 pounds so they can go back to the doctor and have the doctor cut the stomach open and rearrange their guts just so they don't have to change their lifestyle. Um, so anyways, they did it. They got the surgery and they stayed relatively lean, and then a few years later, I was having a conversation with one of the brothers who I actually worked with. We worked in the same division and department, and he started talking about wanting to work out. He wasn't obese again. He had put on a little bit of weight, but he didn't go really crazy with it. But he wanted to start working out. So again, we sat side by side in the car, and we had a discussion. I think you should do this, and you might want to try that. This was a long discussion. This one was at least an hour. We were there for a while, having some coffee and talking. This conversation took place in August, right? I remember it was towards the end of the summer. And he told me after an hour of discussion, okay, sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Okay. But the only thing is, I'm not going to start until January 1st. We were in August. I don't want to start until January 1st because I'm going on a cruise in November. And then when I come back, it'll be the holidays. So he's going to write off 4 or 5 months because it's August and he's going on a cruise for a week in November. So he can't change his lifestyle in the meantime. Um, and anyway, in the end, it turned out to be a circle jerk because he never did it. He never changed anything. Again, everybody wants to change, but nobody wants to change. Um, so it is what it is. It's maddening. It really is maddening to me. And again, I'm not sitting here pontificating like I'm any better, you know. Um, but I learned, and it's just frustrating to sit back and watch it, um, and just how our society now is just everything revolves around food, overconsumption, convenience, comfort. Like I said, at some point there's going to be some type of DoorDash service where you could just go on your phone and somebody's going to come and wipe your ass for you. That's how ridiculous things are getting. It really is. Um, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So anyway, appreciate everybody stopping in. I had some again. I had some technical difficulties getting on today, so finally got here. Who's here? We got Blessed Tone. How are you, brother? Blessed Tone. I hope you're doing well. I haven't heard from you in a while. Osiris is here. Derek, Calvin Brown Burpees. Johnny's here. Thanks for popping in. Game Bros doesn't ring a bell. Geo, how are you? Geo's always here. Fresh Prince, thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, that's a good point, Gus. Gus says it's so easy to be a functional alcoholic, um, and never know it. A lot of us are to a degree, you know. In my case, I don't think I don't know. I don't know if I could use the word alcoholic, um, but there were times when I couldn't say no, and a lot of it was me was peer pressure. Um, I thought that because that's what we did. That was the culture. Especially, through the years I went and I worked different shifts, but when I worked like a 4 to 12 shift, 4 in the afternoon till midnight, 3 in the afternoon till 11 at night, there was nothing to do but go to a bar, and that's what we all did. And I did it time and time and time again. And again, I would never, the thought of going to the bar and just drinking club soda or just hanging out and bullshitting and not drinking, that was never going to happen. That was never going to happen. Uh, I just I just thought that was odd. I thought I had to. I had to be, I had to be a part of the group. So, you get into the whole thing, a lot of, I'm sure everybody's heard of that you're the average of the 5 people that you hang around with most. Um, and if you're the smartest guy in your group, you better get another group, and I believe that. I really do believe that. And as I started to make changes in my life, I remember when I was in the police academy, I was 21. And I had a group of friends when I went into the academy, and I can remember it was the New Jersey State Police Academy, and I remember them saying back then the troopers would. Guys, I think I'm back. I think my internet just went out. Can you just let me know in the chat if I'm back live? Somebody, anybody? I don't know what happened, but I got booted out for a minute. So I was talking about my time at the police academy, and I can remember them telling us that you're gonna pretty much lose the circle of friends that you have now, uh, because at the time it was very common. Years later it changed, but at the time it was very common for most departments to work around the clock. In other words, I would work 1 week on the day shift, 1 week on the afternoon shift, and 1 week on the midnight shift, and that just went round and round throughout the year. And most people don't like that. You know what I mean? That don't work like that. You know, whether it's a 9 to 5 or most Most jobs you're going to have a steady shift. So, and it turned out to be true because right after the academy, I palled around with the cops. We were on the same shift. We had the same days off. My days off rotated, so I wasn't off like on a Saturday and Sunday every week. My days went this week Monday, Tuesday, next week Wednesday, Thursday. So they all changed. So the bottom line is all my friends, my circle of friends became other cops. Um, and again, the culture it was a drinking culture. And as time went on and I started to make changes in my life, um, again, these guys were my friends for years and years and years. Uh, but it just got to the point where I said, I got to change my circle. I can't have this. Uh, the flesh is weak, you know, and if I'm around these people, and if I'm uh, because I had a couple of relapses, I got together with them, and sure enough, you know, one beer turned to two, and two turned to 20, and I decided it's not going to work. I have to change my surroundings. I have to change who I associate with, and it has nothing to do. It's not a personal thing. Um, but again, if you're going to change, you have to change everything. Um, I had another friend of mine call me up, and he's a sickly guy. I worked with him for 25 years. He has had every ailment in the book, every ailment in the book, overweight, the whole thing. And then he was another one. Uh, I want to change. I want to lose some weight, and we had to talk. Uh, and then a lot of people make this statement. Well, I just need to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds. I just need to lose 20 pounds. That's all I need to do. I don't have to change anything. Once I lose that 20 pounds, I'm good to go. Bullshit. If you're 20, 30, 40, 50, and a lot of times 100 pounds overweight, there's other issues. You're eating, you're drinking, there's something going on in your life, right? Again, we'll talk about the booze and the drugs you're self-medicating. There's some underlying issues in your life that you're doing this to get away from. Um, and if you're willing to you can look in yourself in the mirror, and you know that this past summer I was at a park, at a calisthenics park, and I was there, and it was one of the young guy. I put him maybe in his 30s, and him and I were working out, and there were kids running off and on, jumping on the parallel bars, and parents were sprinkled around the park. They weren't in the park. They sat on the benches, and watched the kids play. And again, not being my usual asshole self, most of them were overweight, and they're sitting there, and while the kids are playing, not interacting with the kids. Um, and I had one guy, and he was a young guy. He had young kids there, and he came over to get the kids. All right, come on, guys, it's time to go. And we crossed paths. And he, looked at me, and I looked at him. How you doing? Uh, and you could tell, like, he looked at me and said, oh, well, and again, patted his belly, said, I got to start doing what you're doing, and maybe doing some working out. But, it's tough with the kids. You don't eat right when you got the kids. And I just yesed him to death. And I said, okay, well, have a good day. But that's such a weak excuse. You blame your condition on your kids. Like, what does your physical condition have to do with your kids? What does your mindset have to do with your kids? What do? You go shopping with the kids, and you put some vegetables in the cart, and the kid's like, you put those back right now and go get the Captain Crunch. Go get those fucking Pop-Tarts. I'm telling you right now, put those vegetables back, right? What do? You go out to eat in the restaurant, and you tell the waiter, I'm going to have a salad, with a piece of steak and, a club soda, and the kid says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't listen to him. You bring him that bloomin' onion and a nice big beer, a nice cold beer. Like, what do the kids have to do with that? How the fuck are you blaming your sad, lazy condition on these kids? All you're doing, again, is setting the example for these kids. You're showing them that this is normal, that it's normal to come to a park, and let your kids run around, don't interact with them, and you sit on a fucking park bench and drink a Monster energy drink while your kids are playing. And then when you're tired of sitting on a park bench, you go gather up the kids and leave. And if they don't want to, they're probably hopped up on sugar. And if they don't listen to you, you're yelling at them, right? And then you're going to gather them up in a car and you're going to drive home. And on the way home, what are you going to do? You're going to stop into McDonald's and get them a Happy Meal, right? So don't tell me that, it's your kids. It's you. Whatever your condition is, it's because of your decisions. Game Bros Gusto says they have an adult Happy Meal now. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Um, anything to keep us eating there. And again, I have fast food restaurants, or I don't have any more than anywhere else. But you drive through these fast food restaurants in the late afternoon, early evening. The lines are around the buildings, around the buildings. Um, and again, they have it where you can order on your phone in advance before you don't even have to go and sit on the line, right, on the drive-through line anymore. You order it on your phone, you pull into the parking space, and then they bring it out to your car. It's disgusting. It really is disgusting. Um, I can't fathom that we've got. And again, everybody looks for. You don't want to make the lifestyle. You're looking for a quick fix. I was just reading an article about. Most of you guys have probably heard about this Ozempic and Wegovy, and what they are. Those are uh, diabetes medications, and they supposedly help you lose weight. Um, and I was reading a study on one of them. I think it was the Ozempic. The amount of weight that you lose, it's ridiculous. It's so small that if you did like a 2-day fast, you would lose just as much weight, and it would be so much healthier for your body. But these people will pay $1,500 a month to stick to jab this poison into their body. Um, you know, uh, Again, because they want to change, but they don't want to change. It's so much easier to eat different foods, change your palate, work out, build your body up, get yourself healthy. It's so much easier just to turn on Netflix and take that needle and stick it into your arm and say, okay, I'm skinny, everything's good. But the ramifications of putting that shit on your body, you can't fathom over time what that's going to do to your body. And you'll never convince people of it because these doctors will tell you it's perfectly safe. No doctor is going to write you a prescription or give you a pill or an injection or this and say, but be careful because there's a lot, if you go to your doctor and you tell him, I want to fast or I want to do this or I want to change my diet, um, they'll say, no, that's, you don't want to eat that. You don't want to eat this. You don't want to eat red meat. You don't want to eat eggs because it's bad for your cholesterol. It's dangerous. You got to be careful. But they'll fill you full of these fucking chemicals. Um, I was reading another article the other day where it said that I put up a post on it. The average child born in 2019 is going to go on to take prescription medications for 37 years, which is about half his. The life expectancy right now for a male in the U.S. is about 70, let's say 75 years old. So the average kid born in 2019 is going to take prescriptions for 37 years, for one half of his life. For half of his life. The average murderer in the penal system serves 17 and a half years. And you're going to take prescription drugs, the average kid, And it's even worse for girls. It's even worse for girls because they'll put them on at an earlier age. A lot of it starts with these with the hormones. They'll start them with uh, birth control pills. You know, if they have issues with their cycles, and they'll start putting them on that, and that fucks them up royal well into their life. A lot of more women, you know, tend to go for you know, things like depression drugs, anxiety drugs. A higher percentage of women go for that. So it's even more. The average woman is going to do it for over, I think, 47 years. Um, but yeah, it's completely, it's madness. It's just madness. And again, bringing this all full circle, the reason for this was we're always looking for a justification to overindulge and to abuse ourselves. Again, the guy in the park, his justification is his kids. As we sit here now, everybody's justification is, well, it's Christmas, right? In a few months, it's going to be because it's summer. It's always going to be some justification. It's my birthday. And now, you know, how many times do you hear people say it's my birthday weekend, right? I'm so special. I'm going to celebrate for the weekend. So yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, guys, I hope you give that some thought. Um, your health is too important to throw away. It's too important. And I don't expect anybody, because I certainly didn't do it. And it's a recipe for disaster. If you think you're going to wake up on January 1st and think your entire life is going to change, you have to make changes piecemeal. Pick your poison a little bit at a time, and it's doable. It's so doable, and your life will be so much better um, if you just do it. Set a goal and do it. I'm going to give this up. I'm going to change this. I'm going to add this in, something good, some good habit. I'll work on this new habit, this new good habit. And the more good habits you instill in your life, it's going to give you more incentive to get rid of the bad habits. You know, um, as far as the eating, I get it. It's hard. I get it. But the information is there now. You have to sift through the bullshit. It's tough in that regard too, because everybody has their agenda. The vegans, you can't eat meat or you're gonna die. Whatever. But uh, a balanced diet, whole food, all of this shit, all of this processed food, it's killing us. It's a fact. It's killing us. Um, so you have to do your due diligence. And again, at the end of the day, you're destroying your body. If you're relying on, you want to have your fun early on, uh, but when things start happening, and it will, at some point it will, you start getting those holes in the dike. You only have so many fingers to plug them up with the pills. And at some point, the dam is going to break. And then there's going to be no turning back. And again, especially if you have a family relying on you, if you have kids, you have to be the example. You have to be the example for these kids. Because if not, the cycle is going to continue. The cycle is just going to keep continuing on and on and on. And you're going to watch your kids grow up being sick and unhealthy. And that's it. On that note, I'm going to wish everybody happy holiday season. Go easy with the parties. Go easy with the drinks and the food. You can do it. Appreciate everybody watching as always. Everybody being here. And I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Everybody get your reps in. Stay healthy. Stay safe. And I'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks, guys.